So I'm having a gratitude attack, and for reasons that I don't normally. Well, okay. So there's that. That is Gracie's one of the reasons I have a gratitude attack regularly. But as we were walking to the car, we parked the car here. First of all, we parked the car on the wrong side of the road, which I didn't even bat an eye. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna park over there. Cars are coming the other way. None of them care. I don't care. It's not weird. I'm not like endangering anybody. So there was that, just stuff that you can do that in Thailand, right? That I think let's say from the U.S. perspective, my perspective, Mike's perspective, is weird, right? And you wouldn't do it in the U.S. You would never drive down the wrong side of the road, even if you're only going 100 meters, on the sidewalk or something like that. You'd never do that. But here it makes complete sense, and no one sort of balks at it, and it's just well, right, I need to go this distance. I'm not going to drive all the way down, make a U-turn. So in my mind, it's it's just logical. So there's that. Secondly, we're parked here, right? And so I left the window open because I drive around with the windows open and the AC on. And we walked around, and there's this area here. And sadly, underneath that bridge is a couple of guys. They don't have, junk cars, but they have older trucks, and it looks like they were sleeping there last night. And they may have done so because they're like, hey, dude, let's just camp out here. But given that it's COVID, there's a lot of people just sort of living where they work. And again, no judgment of that. It's just in the U.S., I would see those folks, and I would think to myself, well, I should probably roll the windows up. I should probably lock the car. And so we're just hanging out here. I just posted just a single photo on Facebook, and we were just hanging out, and there were a couple dogs coming, and the dogs don't speak English. I know that sounds odd, but when I say, come here, they're probably like, what? But if I say, teeny, they're like, oh, whatever. Anyway, the point is that I was having a gratitude attack initially here. Then as we walked down there and then started walking back to the car, there was a woman, and she was cleaning out these trash barrels on the side of the road with water, and then, upside down there so they'll drain and all that, right? And I was saying to Gracie, I'm like, I see this woman, she's walking by my car, our car over there. And in the U.S., with the exception of a few places, like my hometown, Hingham, Coronado, some other relatively affluent communities, I probably wouldn't even give it a second thought. But the point is, in San Diego, anywhere in San Diego, even near where I used to work at USD, I would be concerned, I would be distracted, I would be okay, I've got my wallet with me, but my laptop's in the car, and I would want to lock it and that sort of thing. And here, now, because Gracie even mentioned, because, should you lock your car? And I'm like, no. And I said to her, I'm like, I don't even, think about that. And it's not because, we're in a nice area and there are other areas, but, I mean, the two places, okay, where I've, dropped electronics and left it for anywhere from, 2 minutes to 35 minutes are Pattaya Beach at 4 in the morning and Patong Beach at 3 in the afternoon, respectively. And I did a video about how I left my cell phone and my charger and my cables and everything right there on basically Second Road in Patong. Drove back half an hour later after already doing another live stream, more like 45 minutes later. Did a live stream down in Karen Beach, and then drove all the way back to Patong. And there's a guy standing there who even opened my phone, posted it on Facebook, sent me a message, I've got your stuff, waited there till I got there, okay? Now I bring these up because arguably those are two of the places that are not necessarily known for their integrity of the locals. Basically, there's more stories about people, I shouldn't say that the integrity. Those places are more known for foreigners getting scammed, or basically people just being idiots and not having any, sort of personal accountability. I think that's more accurate. But the point is that there's certainly infinitely more negative stories about those locations than there are about Pratamnak Hill. Let's just say that. Okay. So anyway, but the gratitude attack, the fuel that gave me the gratitude today, was the fact that there are these things now that I take ridiculously for granted, like my personal safety, like personal accountability. I no longer walk down the road and see a hole and have the expectation that there's going to be massive signage and barriers. I'm in the shower this morning and I look up and there's the water heater, and inches above it there's 3 bare wires, 220 volts, as I'm splashing water on it, you know. And I looked at it and I thought, well, Mike, here's a tip. Don't touch those wires. How's that? You know, and so there's these differences in my life now that I appreciate them like crazy. And again, maybe it's just, you know, confirmation bias, my justification for living here. Not that I need to justify it to anybody and prove it to anybody, but I'm just here to share with you that I have such comfort in my surroundings here. And it's not just like one beach, it's all over Thailand. I have reflected on this and not necessarily done a video like this. My safety here. It's ridiculously safe here for me and for Gracie. I can tell you right now that Gracie will tell you ad nauseum how much safer she feels as a single 45-kilo tiny little Asian woman in Bangkok at nighttime than she ever would in Manila. It is safe here. So anyway, that's true freedom. I remember speaking with my mentor who recently just passed away, Bill. And one of the things he was telling me about my behavior, he was comparing like the number of zeros I had in my bank account to the feeling that I have. And he was like, Mickey, that's true freedom. You have the ability to do this and this and this and this and this. And he said, you know, a lot of people, they fantasize about being like a trust fund baby and having that sort of freedom. And it's not like I have the freedom to go out and buy a Ferrari or something like that. He wasn't, and he clarified that. He's like, you have the freedom to basically do whatever you want. And you don't want a Ferrari. You want a Volkswagen. You have the freedom to go buy a Volkswagen. You know, and I remember he paused and he looked at me and he goes, that's true wealth. That is true wealth, Mickey, the freedom, the ability. And I swear to God, it's this perpetual motion machine, because the more grateful I get, the more great things I think are happening in my life, I believe, the more appreciation I have for them. And so therefore, the more grateful I get, and then the more gratitude attacks I have, and then the more of these things that show up. The more of this freedom shows up. It's almost like I don't look for it anymore. So anyway, I haven't done a gratitude attack video in a while, and I haven't done it by the water, and I haven't done it hanging out with one of those crazy ass old trawler / wooden floating. I swear, there's probably more hours on the bilge pump motor in that boat than there are the actual motor. But it doesn't sink, now does it? And that's freedom, and that's true wealth. I wish you true wealth, inside freedom. Look, you can be in debt and still have true wealth as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned. Your definition of that may be different, but right now I can tell you I feel ridiculously wealthy, and I do not have millions of dollars. But I have Gracie, and I have my rental car, and I have my mom, and I have my dad, and I have me. And I'm quite sane and sober right now, so that's pretty awesome too. And Gracie and I have been married just over 2 months. Woohoo! So, another little block on the gratitude attack list. So, I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.